Almost there. There we are. Hello, everyone. Wait, music. Is this an automatic, Sorry. Is this an automatic filled intro? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dragon Riders, episode number 5.
Hi.
Hello.
There was an awkward
Hello.
silence there. What are you
No,
talking?
there was an awkward silence where we're like,
What do we do?
Well, it's. I take a second to panic after I've just blown everyone's ears out with the music, and
Mop.
yeah.
Mop.
So, it's nice to be back. We have Dan back. Hey, Dan.
Hello, I have returned. I'm no longer on the exact other side of the country as far as possible. It's good
welcome
to be
back.
Thank
We're
you.
happy to have you.
It's very good to be back.
Yes. So, we'll do the traditional intro things, which is I talk about the channel. The channel is a great place, lovely. You're here. You probably know that, or do you disagree? One of the two. There's a... You know what, Tash? I can't do this when every time I say something you cringe a little bit.
I'll just go.
Okay. So, thank you. You know what? I'll just go off what people in chat are doing. So there's a Patreon for the Wandering Inn. If you like Dragon Riders, if you like the QT, both shows that are currently running, and if you like the things I've done before and want to see me do more things, go check out the Patreon, drop down a little bit of money, pledge something, and yeah, the more people that do that, the more shows I can make. Currently, we are set with the Monday show, and hoping to soon be set with a second show, which would currently be on Fridays, like this show is. Although this isn't a permanent slot right now, because we can't cover the cost for cast yet. Past that, there is the YouTube. If you want to see any of the other shows we've done, some of them are great. No, all of them are great. What am I talking about? All of them are amazing. You should watch all of them. Go watch all of them now, except for after the show. There's the YouTube. Additionally, there's a Twitter. Twitter is literally just there to announce the shows, pretty much, and occasionally drop a teaser or something. But yeah. And then there is also the Discord. The Discord is there for having a bit of chat. Sometimes we do community nights with the patrons. There'll be other things as well. And yeah, if you want to get notified for shows that are starting when they start, then the Discord's a great place for that. If you do want to be notified, there is a role in the Discord which is called Get Told, which basically means you get told when we go live for shows. Tag me in the Discord, or just say it somewhere and say you want the role, and I'll give it to you. Someone said something in chat where it was like, you should talk about this, and I was like,
May I
yes.
come back yet?
Yeah. Feel free. You weren't actually banished.
It went so well after I left. Did it not?
Whoa.
I was gonna make some kind of really shitty comment, like every show.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so thank you for chat for keeping me on track. Oh yes, there is an upcoming pre-recorded show that we have planned, which has not been announced yet, but some of the patrons know about it in the very least. And interestingly, I didn't tell them they weren't allowed to tell anyone. They just haven't told anyone, which I think is quite funny. Yeah. What are patrons?
Well done. That friendy, eh?
Keeping the secrets.
Past that, it's still going to be a little bit of time. There is a possibility in the next few months that there may be I'll keep you guys updated as it goes, but there's a possibility there might be a little bit of upheaval if there are shows going. The shows that will be running during that time, it might just be a little bit iffy. As I may be moving or something like that, possibly. So just giving everyone a heads up on that one.
Changes.
Early. Yeah. You know what? Just randomly, and because I can't be asked to go past this intro, which I've done flawlessly, Is anyone doing any other cool roleplay shows that we can shout out? Or is everyone just doing Dragon Riders right now?
I'm on Table Stories 100 Club, where I'm a space trucker hick with a giant mullet.
If people know anything about me, it's that they know I love doing. I love spacey stuff.
It's scum and villainy, so it's basically Cowboy Bebop, and it's which is fun.
I mean, one of my all-time favorite shows is Cowboy Bebop. Although that got replaced by Girls Last Tour. Girls Last Tour is one of the best shows ever.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that.
Yeah,
a little bit ago. I remember.
Anyone else? Are there any more Yoshi shows coming up?
Not right now. I'm just working on charity stuff.
Did you put the Yoshi one shot up on YouTube or VOD anywhere?
It's a VOD on Twitch.
Okay.
With all of my one shots are on Twitch.
All right. Go check out Elbel's Yoshi TTRPG. It was Prison Break, right? Like I can't remember exactly.
Basically, yeah.
Basically a prison break where El attempted to murder Yoshi's as the GM, which was a lot of fun. And additionally, just purely because I know it was a while ago, I don't think we've ever talked about it on the channel. Katie, KBB Does Place, did a really cool. What was the system? It was a horror thing, wasn't it? I can't remember what system it was.
The one that I did with Dan and Ellie and Zeke.
Yeah.
That I wrote that system. I mean it.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a made up, and we all kind of like tested it and did all that together. So but there was an actual system for that. I just kind of wrote one.
This is the perfect place to promote it then, because guess what, guys? I wrote Dragon Riders.
Hey!
So if you're a fan of completely custom-made stuff, which makes the person running it super nervous that they fucked up somehow,
I know the feeling.
yeah, the pain of recognition where it's like, oh yes, that is scary. I'm sure in chat as well, someone will go and find those links or something. Feel free to throw them in chat, guys, if you find the links to both those shows. Oh, sorry, all three of those shows. And Tash has nothing, so let's just
bully today.
I was like, I'm so mean to you today.
Sorry.
I'm busy.
I didn't say you weren't busy. You don't have any shows at the moment aside from Dragon Ride. Okay, fine.
Telling me to leave the intro. You bully me about shows. It's fine.
In my defense, you were cringing every time I said something at the beginning of that intro.
I was ponderous. It's different.
Okay. So, shall we talk about what happened last week?
Please.
Ultra got kidnapped. Then went into aggressive negotiation mode, whereby it was less of a negotiation and a little bit more of a dressing down of the entire moral compass of about 100 people who took her hostage. Eventually they start, I'd say actually around about the time they started to repent their sins and realize that they'd made a mistake, the hammer and the nail in the coffin of them realizing they made the mistake was when 3 dragons landed on their town hall, and I believe at least one of them stuck their head in the roof, and Ardor stuck her head through the front door, splintering the door and sending a whole load of people flying. Ultra was collected, and everyone kind of left, with Argent and Cassandra being in quite a crappy mood, crushing one of their fairly tall buildings between Argent's, kind of long, snaky body. I believe Argent has a constrictor tag, which...
That is, I believe, correct,
They were
yes.
leaving the town anyway.
Yeah, sure. But they were, however, advised to go and investigate the edge of the Deep Roots forest, where they found multiple trees in the shape of humans who were running away from the forest, like a little trickle of them going out. Upon some consideration, Cassandra posited that it might be another primal. Oh wait, was it Cassandra or did Rithera? Because
It was Rithera because it's known from Peak.
Because the Peak and the Baron tribes, the mountain people, had some old mythology about a ancient being who wandered the forest and kept it safe and helped it grow, and also trees moving around and all that kind of thing. Finally, they went to deal with a basilisk that was, I'd say, rampaging, but honestly it was kind of waddling down the mountain path at that point. They came up with a really good tactic where they covered it in Cinzia fog, distracted it with a illusion from the front, and then Cinzia and I believe Ardor shot in from the sides and behind, flipped it over, and basically killed it. Kind of gutted it and ate it pretty quickly, and then kept some of the scales for I mean, look, Matt, like, you weren't here, Dan. You didn't keep them under control.
Look, we
they went crazy.
have the potential for dragon armor now. Okay.
It's true. Basilisk scales make decent dragon armor, so
It's a good thing you have someone who knows how to make stuff.
that's what I was thinking. Finally, on the way back, they visited Peak, where they found the basilisk had already come through. Luckily, in some ways, a lot of the villagers had evacuated. However, with no early warning and no idea that the basilisk was coming, it was able to paralyze and turn to stone a fair few number of the villagers, one of who was part of the defense, basically a kind of delaying action to allow everyone to escape in time to evacuate, was Rithera's mentor and master, Crix, who had also fallen to the basilisk. And so we ended last episode on a funeral for Crix. And as an additional note, obviously the rest of the villagers were respectfully buried and had their own places in the mountain dug and allocated for them. So, there we go. What we are going to do now is we are going to rejoin Rithera and Cinzia, still at Peak, as there we go. As the sun is still setting, so you've got a nice little glow of red and orange kind of shooting across the sky. Darkness is starting to creep in, so I would imagine, seeing as you're not moving for a little bit, you'd probably set up a fire in the center of the kind of town, in the town center. It's a little bit... It's a little bit strange because you've got all of these buildings, all of these caves carved out kind of around the center of the town, of the village, but no one to kind of walk around. It's just you two now. And I imagine as the fire is probably the only thing making a noise in this little mountainous area, a little bit of crackling and etc. Yeah. I kind of imagined that Rithera would be like poking the fire a bit with a stick.
And doing idle things to keep her hands busy, but like doing that stare into something that's moving that, like, somebody's not really paying attention to. It's just kind of there. What would Incendia be doing?
For the most part, I've been almost following you around, like quietly, sort of just behind your arm, probably as you move. So if you moved it back, probably a little crowded by her right now, more than anything, but not saying a lot. Like, there's not much to be done, really.
Mhm. Is this our fault?
Why would it be our fault?
It's our job to protect everyone.
Can't protect everyone, everywhere. People have to protect themselves sometimes.
I know, but I always thought that he could do that. And it's eerie and weird and quiet, and I guess it's just the reminder that they can't.
I mean, not everyone's here, you said.
No,
So some did.
is
And they
fleeing,
protected them.
but is fleeing the same as protecting?
Sometimes you have to tactically retreat. I think we said. Like, we tactically retreated from desolation.
I didn't like that we did that, but I get it. Maybe you're right. Still don't
Sounds
think
about
it's
right.
Don't let go to your head that I told you were right.
It's fine, I knew it already.
What do we do?
We go back and get the others and get the eggs and do what we want to do.
This just tells me that not everybody can protect themselves. So how do we be there for everyone? Because I don't want anybody else to feel like this.
Just because you don't want it doesn't mean it is the way it's going to go, though. Like, everyone has to look after themselves.
But we're stronger together.
Sometimes.
All the time.
Well, we're stronger together, obviously. And the others who left Peak are there because of Crix and everyone, but we can't look after everyone in the world. People have to look after themselves. Or get out of the way.
I guess I don't know. It just makes me feel like I don't know what to do. I get it. We have to get the eggs. I get that we need to be there for others, and we've got each other. And now that's all we have.
That's all we need.
I think in life you need more than that.
Like what?
I don't think you can go about life on your own. Sitting in this place and looking at everything. Nothing was ever done. by one person alone. You dug out your own home. You made your own life, but you always had support. You always had encouragement. You always had someone to teach you or to look after you.
And I've got you and you've got me, and that's us not alone.
And we're one. So we need others. And we're the strong ones. So we have to be like Crix, putting ourselves in danger. But we have to be there for the ones that I guess have to flee.
For the world or our pod?
Both.
It's a lot. People get into trouble all the time. I mean, Ultra just got into trouble with those townspeople. Like,
I know. I'm glad she's okay. As okay as she seems. I don't know how we're going to do it, or if we can. But don't you agree?
the pod, yes. If we stretch ourselves to the world, then it's not going to end well for anyone.
Guess we need to make a choice. I'm gonna miss her. Am I allowed to miss her?
Why wouldn't you be allowed?
Vulnerability, strength. Missing someone makes you vulnerable.
But
Means you have a point of weakness.
yes. But she can't be used against you now.
But other people can be taken away.
And we'll do what needs to be done.
Okay.
Okay?
And we're gonna kind of like nudge her a little bit, like, okay, like we've made a decision now.
And she would probably just like lean back into you and quietly just sit there, tears kind of falling. I think this is the first time you've probably ever seen her cry or be vulnerable at all.
That's why I was quiet the entire time.
Just sitting there in that silence.
Question. Sitting there quietly, obviously, within Cynthia, does she make any move to comfort or console or help in any way? Or is she more of like a silent witness, essentially?
It's like she doesn't really know how to do that. So it's been like the crowding, like following her around.
A little bit of a mother henning, maybe.
Yeah, it's just like a puppy that doesn't right under your feet, and it's really annoying, but you know they mean well.
But do you want to help Rithera?
Yeah, I just don't know how to do it.
We don't comfort each other. I don't think we ever have.
In that case, could you please roll me your power? It will have a think this will have a 4 success gates, so 4s and aboves. Okay.
I'm assuming no tags, because that's
No tags.
no tags.
1 success is enough. So, almost unconsciously and very much through the frustration of being unable to figure out a way to actually help, or figuring out a way to one of the issues that Incensia and Rithera have is that their communication skills, let's call it, are a little bit iffy. Very often, Dragon and Rider are very different personalities, or see the world in a different way. I would say Incensia is the closest to a pure dragon. Obviously, all dragons with riders are influenced by the human, by the more person. As they grow up, they're raised by a rider, and that influences them. A lot of regular dragons would not consider the Dragon Rider dragons to be, you know, pure dragons, basically. Just purely because they've been influenced too much by humanity. However, having said that, Incensia is the closest out of all the dragons to being that proper dragon mentality. Survival of the fittest, prey and hunter, hunter and prey, and everything. Means that there's a bit more of a disconnect in their viewpoints of the world, I guess, between these two. However, there are ways, even when communication doesn't work, you are still connected by the meld that happened when your dragon hatched. And therefore, with Incensia kind of instinctively casting around for a way to help, she breaches that connection between you both. Instinctually searching and finding a memory that was not locked away. It's something that has stayed with you, but it's not something that has ever been in the forefront of your mind for a long time. And so as the fire crackles and the camera fades, we go back quite a number of years to before Incensia ever hatched. And you had recently moved into the cave and dug it out, and Crix was starting to take you on hunts and teach you how to hunt and to provide for yourself, and at the time, hopefully in the future, for Crix herself. And we fade back in on a slightly frost-covered forest in the morning, and both Rithera, younger Rithera, and Crix are crouched behind some quite thick foliage, having been stalking a stag for maybe like an hour or so, and it's finally stopped to graze, to feed, and to get some water from a nearby river. Both yourself and Crix are crouched down and watching it, and Rithera has just kind of like knocked an arrow to a bow and kind of drawn it back in this kind of, you know, getting prepared to strike. And Crix puts out her hand, touching on Rithera's shoulder, and says, "Wait a minute, Rith. Just wait." And the bowstring slackens, and there's a silence just aside from the river trickling, until there's a sudden flurry of movement, and the bushes kind of close to the river start to shake and start to move like large animal or large something moving through it. And within a couple of seconds, a not giant, but a very large worm like springs out of the bushes. To describe a worm, it's WYRM, just for people wondering, and is a usually subterranean reptile. It is I would say the regular ones generally are kind of like crocodile alligator length, if not longer. It looks very much like a snake, except for it's got very draconic features, and it is a lot bigger, like kind of chunkier, wider. I would say in general it is thicker and more armored and more kind of dangerous looking than, you know, your average anaconda or anything like that. And it strikes and hits the flank of this stag and wraps around it and starts to essentially devour it. All the while Rithera and Crix are watching, she looks to her mentor, who kind of makes a gesture, kind of like back off and let's go. And both of the hunters back away and move away slowly, and then start to move away quickly. And as they start running and searching for new tracks, new signs of possible food to go and explore, to go and look at, Crix, while running with Rithera, says, "When hunting and in life in general, it's very important to understand a situation before you act, and the elements that make up what is occurring. If we had attacked, if we had started the hunt, we would have alerted the worm to our presence and would have in turn been attacked. There are negatives to waiting and to being patient. Sometimes you will have to accept the consequences of not taking action. However, it's always worth knowing what action you're going to take and what repercussions will happen because of it. That way you'll live with the least regret in your life. And that way, every now and then, you'll be allowed to take an action that is inadvisable but unescapable, and still have no regrets." And as they keep going, the camera fades. Both Incinzia and Rithera experience that as Rithera from her point of view. Essentially, Incinzia found and almost like replayed the memory in vivid, like you put on a VR headset basically, and just played it for your, experienced it. And the camera fades back on a slightly lower fire, embers glowing, a little bit of flame, still warm, but night has now set in completely, and it is dark and very quiet around you.
That was weird.
What was weird?
The thing with Crix and the worm.
You saw that too? Some memory from a long time ago. I remember it, but not remember it. I know it happened. Rex was
So
a...
little.
You used to be little once too.
Little now.
No. She was a wise woman. Are you okay? I will be. I hope.
You will be.
What do you say we get some sleep and get an early start tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine Rithera would chuck another couple of sticks, logs, etc. on the fire to keep it going while you're sleeping. Although, one very fairly effective technique for riders is to just huddle into the warmth of a dragon, as, you know, motherfuckers breathe fire, yo. Could both Rithera and Incinzia please take a new tag?
Ooh.
Ooh.
That tag is... I don't want to just call it melded level 2. Let's call it deep meld. Deeper meld. Call it deeper meld. There are levels which you can take being dragon and rider, and usually in times of need, either the dragon or the rider can precipitate it.
I think that's cool. It's like we don't always communicate well, but we have a really good understanding.
Yeah.
And you have what is most important between a dragon and a rider, which is a deep connection. Through raising Incinzia, who I will say, it's interesting that she's like, people need to learn to look after themselves, says dragon who was raised from baby by a rider.
Eventually.
She has a very independent dragon.
She is. Even when she was born, she managed to get about a lot better than some other people who will remain nameless, but barely got out of their egg. Tourmaline.
Rude.
So, as we fade out on both Incinzia and Rithera falling to sleep, I'm going to bring up a thought for Rithera. This theme that I've been playing is something I found that is Crix's theme. So this is the theme song for Crix. Especially when we are young and in our fairly formative years and growing and learning and things, events like this, something very monumental like losing a mentor, can result in essentially a paradigm shift, in a shift in values or shift in thought, shift in priorities. Would you be interested in me replacing the regular Rithera theme song with this Crix theme song? So this would now become Rithera's theme song.
I think so. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it did very much change Rithera. And I think that the idea of how Peak takes care of its mentors, the idea of becoming that and having it become a part of her completely makes sense.
Okay. I've made the change. In that case, I think we will rejoin everyone the next day, unless you'd like to have a morning conversation with Incinzia and Rithera. I feel like the majority of what needed to be said and done has been said and done. In that case, let us rejoin everyone as Rithera and Incinzia land at the caves around and outside the swamp on the hills, and essentially I feel like this is catch-up time.
And so we squished the tower, and then we went to see the other townsfolk who had turned into trees, Perry.
I squished a tower.
Well, we had to make a point. Not going to kidnap anyone again, are they?
No, but it
They
wouldn't
were
wouldn't
leaving.
wouldn't three dragons showing up to a town usually? Never mind. It's fine. Every time I leave, I swear. Yeah, I mean, I did a bunch of scouting, tried to figure things out and all that, but
when you would like to essentially just give a little speech, let me know and I'll fill in the information that you've gathered in your time.
oh yeah, I'd love to fill them all in. They filled me in. I should probably do the same.
Absolutely. So, what's happening around the area of Harrowhold, as was, in a little bit more detail than perhaps you had before. What essentially Perry has been doing is he has been scouting, questioning, doing a little recon here and there, basically seeing movements and kind of accosting people wherever he can and being aggressively polite until they give him the truth.
Kill them with kindness.
Kill them with kindness. For those of you who are watching, if you want to follow along with the things I'm talking about, both maps are in the Discord in the Dragon Riders section. And yeah, we'll go off the... I'll be talking about places on the map, so you may want to follow along with what's going on. So, I can confirm the deaths, the essentially confirmed deaths of some more Dragon Masters who fell essentially trying to hold off or fight Desolation and Agony. Nakor and Kaorian, Maya Chatsk and Gloston, Genva Banuna and Athelium, and Ezekiel Tempt and Fairlian have all been killed and lost.
Sorry, did I hear that right? Maya Chask?
Yeah.
Oh, my master died.
Your bowmaster.
Yeah.
Of course, we already knew about Jazari Che and Rainier Vaz, who I believe were Rithera and Ulcha's weapon masters. The only other weapon master that you had was Cassandra's, who is serving, serving Cargilia, essentially. So, there are still a few unconfirmed. Mikala Timpt and Grin Toylan is actually the only other one aside from Fayana Duskborn, who was the stave master for Cassandra. So, yeah, essentially confirmed all but 2 of the masters are dead and 1 has not been seen since Desolation. Past that, I would say it's hard to get an accurate reading, but it is, given Dragon and Dragon Rider sightings, it's possible that as much as anywhere from 50% and above of pods were completely destroyed. So you're looking, I believe the pod numbers were 44 pods. Was it 44 pods or 44 riders? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think it was 44 riders.
Yeah. So you're looking at around
There's 11 pods, I think, because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely 20 riders or more, and very possible to be up to 35, 30, etc. So it was. Harrowhold took a pretty big hit when it was attacked and when it blew up. Going past that, Cargilia is most definitely looking to solidify itself as the power in the area. It sent an expedition of soldiers and has taken over the reclamation efforts at Harrowhold. And essentially a small skirmish was fought, and they drove off the members of Liberalia and Talion, who were already there and working. Past that, Sunswept, Garruk have both agreed to essentially join Cargilia. From what people have said, it's partially because there's no other option and partially for protection. Cargilia has already raised a decently sized army, has mages, has a dragon rider, so it's looking a lot more. It's looking like the best player in terms of factions at the moment. The other places, for the most part, Frontier is a difficult place to attack. But really, that's due to the walls and due to the fact that they are used to fighting off monsters. At the end of the day, if you have a dragon, you can just land in the center of Frontier and set it on fire. So past that, the only other really military place is Garruk, which is the place that trains soldiers, officers, just out of almost like tradition. It's where the nobles will go to learn war, even though war hasn't been necessary for the last 2 or 3 centuries at least, until, about a month ago.
Has the Dragon Rider from Cargilia been seen with them, or is it them just on foot sweeping the...
With the expedition? No.
Okay.
Although there are possibly a couple of mages with them.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, it's, and this is something that Perry would have picked up too, at this point, it is common practice for a mage at least to accompany squads. There's been multiple attempts to accost and recruit the odd dragon rider that's been seen or has traveled through the area. Sometimes there's been a confrontation. Every single time the dragon rider has succeeded, but so far the confrontation has been much more the dragon rider overpowering and forcing the people to run away. There's not really been much killing in those instances so far.
Okay.
So I would say, let's see if there's anything else particularly needs to be said. There has been sightings of some monsters on the outskirts, some larger creatures on the outskirts of the mountains, of the southern frozen area, the peak of a very big kind of like snowy mountain and the mountains and hills around it. So far, nothing concerning for you, Ultra, in terms of Sagacia. But it is what it is. I imagine, especially given what happened to Rithera and Peak, there could be some concern there, but all rumors and all talk and everything so far seems to be fine.
Yeah, really quick, you said rumors?
The problem is that there's not much travel between Sagacia and the rest of the northern, up to the north. Sagacia is pretty isolated. You haven't been over there yourself for a while, so yeah. There's been no rumors of any big monsters or anything seen there. At the same time, you haven't heard news, and Perry couldn't find news from it. It's possible, no, because you got captured and held hostage, so you couldn't ask him to check it out. So
Yeah. Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Oh, up north.
Except for a thing.
Sorry. Up north by the Outbreak Mounds. Kind of when you go more into the deserts and into that area. There's been sightings of a few dragons and dragon riders up in that area, but also, and again, this is kind of more rumors because no one lives out there in general. Although people are suspecting that there's maybe some dragon riders using it. If it's a place that people don't go, dragon riders can get there. They can kip on the peaks of those flat mountains and get around fairly quickly, so they can travel around quite easily.
We had that rumor before, didn't we, that they were doing a little bit of banditry.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Which has essentially been confirmed. There are dragon riders who are accosting travelers, and
Yeah, the merchant that Perry and Cassandra talked to specifically was like, "Oh yeah, I've had the accostation, but no violence. It was mostly just like, we need supplies.
Yeah.
Okay, bye."
It's the equivalent of walking into a corner shop with a bazooka,
and then being like,
what up?
"Hey, I need some. Can I have some spicy bites?
Can I have some gum?
And then
I like some gum, please.
I need some water and some hot dogs. All right, thanks. That's it. Bye. Keep your money
and some scratch cards. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, there have been rumors of some other things up there. Essentially, the problem is there's a lot of sandstorms and a lot of essentially I guess you call it yellow mist. Essentially, the sand gets kicked up between the wind and just causes this kind of haze of. So that's part of the reason people don't go up there, or don't settle there at the very least. So there's
also
been
sandworms and things too, right? That just make it pretty difficult.
Yeah, there's a variation of lindworms that are up there that are a lot bigger and a lot more essentially a lot more kind of aggressive. Usually lindworms are aquatic, swamps, that type of thing. The magical researchers, and this is something that Cassandra would know, and honestly Argent would know pretty instinctively just from all their research, but magical researchers posit that there was a break in the evolution where one part of the lindworms went much more aquatic, and that's probably the originator, most likely, for Lungrons like Argent. And then another set went much more burrowing underground, and sand was the best place for them. So they treat the sand like the sea, pretty much. And that's pretty much everything.
And that's pretty much everything.
Right, so I think it's safe to say those dragon riders are accosting people.
Yeah.
But you were okay getting out of Harrowhold you weren't accosted?
No, I I kept my distance as best I could. Seeing the Cargillian forces there kind of made it not something I wanted to get too close to.
Yes. Well, we should probably talk about where we want to go from here. This is not
Yeah.
I don't think it's a decision Bethera and I can make for the group.
Why would we, if Dragon Riders are losing their reputation, maybe we need to do things differently.
I think we have been, right? At least partially. Merchant, we talked to them and made sure that they would spread good news that they aren't all bad. I think that deep roots might be a good thing too. If we can help some of the literal world, maybe that'll get us a bit of a better reputation.
That's what were originally here for, right?
Yeah.
The task. Taking care of the primals, the world. We were involved in politics. You can't not be when you're doing things like that, but politics were not our main area of focus. We were doing things that no one else can.
Yeah, if there's... People would have seen the grouse going around, so... If it goes away and it's due to the Dragon Riders, that would be a pretty big boon.
Well, regardless of what people think about us, I think dealing with the primals should be the main focus. We live on this planet also.
Yeah.
Aren't you a bit concerned that the ones that remain have given up on their morality so quickly?
Yes, I am. And when we did not know of the primals, they were top of my list, Ultra.
Well, I don't know if giving up on morality is exactly a good analogy for that. Dragon Riders lived by generosity, and when everyone stopped, they couldn't eat. We were lucky in that we knew how to survive on our own.
But the foundations that we were taught and through the training we went through, it seems very odd that, like a switch, they have a dragon and they're using it to get what they want, shaking down people and taking their supplies. It's the opposite of everything we were taught.
When you have nothing
Power
else.
can change people.
Yeah. Power or desperation.
Power and desperation. Put them together and...
I don't know about that because look at Jerix. He didn't have to do what he did. And I'll be honest, I did not like him, and I honestly would say I might have hated him. But he sacrificed himself for us.
With his power and desperation.
Look at what happened with Desolation. That was power. That was a need. Someone else, same circumstances of power and grabbing power to be able to, and made the choice to hurt others. I think that's kind of our point, right? Where we can choose with the power that we have to either improve this world and make it better, or to lead with our own selfish growth of power and control.
You just see Ulja, like, are the gears turning as you all are talking, but kind of like you're not sure what she's thinking, but...
Yeah. I think it's complicated, unfortunately. I can't completely blame people for just trying to survive. And literally the world is hunting them or conscripting them to fight in armies. They can't exactly go and buy supplies.
No,
No.
but they can trade. I take some
Yeah,
umbrage.
but
There's always a choice in the end, Perry.
there is. But
Oh, sorry, I forgot a couple of things to mention. So this is just Perry adding in a couple of things that he forgot to mention. Silly Perry. There has been a confrontation between Dragon Riders and a smaller outfit of Cassorians. That happened near Respite, which is in the Sentry's Roost, the Central Latis area. Essentially, it ended in kind of a stalemate. Not too many deaths, but, you know, deaths on both sides, essentially.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah.
All the same.
Not too many deaths. I just would like to point that part out.
Yeah.
Too many.
Well,
I love how we all take different points from it. You're like, it's too many deaths. I'm like, whoa, Dragon Rider died? Like,
Mhm. Like, this was just people PvP. Like, this was,
Yeah.
like, okay.
It was a roving band of Cassorians and a group of Dragon Riders who either had a disagreement or came to blows for some reason, essentially resulting in them kind of killing a few of each other and then backing off and kind of being like, you know, it's not worth carrying on going because we're just going to kill each other. But so
awesome.
It's I would imagine that Ultra would know the most about this, but I would say probably to a certain degree Cassandra Rethera would also know some of this as well, just because it's in the histories. And for Cassandra and for Rethera, the mountain tribes used to be nomadic before they settled in the mountains, so they've had dealings with and you know of the Cassorians as well to some degree, but essentially because of their warlike nature and their fairly nomadic lifestyle, which goes along with raiding and you know, the Cassorians are one of the only groups of people who really have come to regular blows with Dragon Riders, which is why they are actually probably the only people on the continent properly proficient with combating Dragon Riders, just out of necessity. Additional to that, I will say that Perry, while you were exploring the deep roots, like the very edge of the deep roots forest, you definitely noticed a few of the taller trees moving out from the south and kind of creeping around a little bit further into the outskirts, into the less wild areas. On top of that, you definitely observed a slow expansion of the snow. It appears to be very, very likely that even though it's not really the season, winter appears to be encroaching on the southern areas of the continent currently, and it's possible that we're going to get winter early this year, maybe another month, maybe two, which of course will affect supplies and food and everything.
Well, the deep roots were like unnaturally cold, right?
The deep roots have a bizarre, when you looked at them, had a bizarre amount, kind of zone of like frost and snow and cold.
So it almost looks like that's expanding out, though.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was trying to.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I relay that because I totally forgot all of it.
You silly. Mind like a sieve.
Sorry. That's quite
So
important
silly.
There's
information.
a lot of information there.
So, yeah, Ultra, whilst I agree that the Dragon Riders who are ne'er-do-wells, the primals do seem to be a primary focus, as they will affect people and the world. I mean, that's my view.
But just if we don't do anything, they'll take over and then things will get
Right.
worse.
Yeah. I'd rather have to worry about one problem, not the politics and, the world ending.
Do you
Get
think
back-
there's
Go ahead.
you think there's more pods like us that are actually trying to help?
I didn't hear any rumors about them when I was going around, but that doesn't mean no. They might just be more secretive. I mean, no one knew that we were around until we basically went and talked to the merchant. So it's very possible that there are some.
And our friend who went south, he may not be trying to help the entire country or world, but driving away monsters is noble enough.
Just a lot of doom and gloom.
Yes.
You just see
Well.
Ultra kind of sit back like, oh, I said my piece, and then just kind of listen to what the plan might be.
I think deep roots might be our best bet, though, since that's kind of what we were originally going to do, and that would keep us out of the way of some of the other politicking things.
Yes, the tree was connected to one in the deep roots.
Yeah.
We've got. Wasn't there a something sense of where they originated from? Where the primals, the base of the. We've got the primals, we've got the tree.
Which I believe are seals for where they've been locked in.
Yeah, at least the one, the corrupty one thing.
The log.
So
The lurk.
finding out how many seals there are, how to
Now-
reseal them.
Repair and reseal them, yes.
And if there's like a main seal, is there a root of all of this? Like, are these little seals holding down a bigger one? I'm not the one who does this studying. I don't think I really paid attention to this part.
Yes, I feel we need more information.
I don't know where we'd get it, though, without looking.
Obviously, Cassandra's like racking her brains, like, do we know anything? Is there likely to be any places of knowledge? Like, we wanted to go to Harrowhold and raid the library, essentially, didn't we?
The eggs.
Yes.
I think we're storing them away, but what if we try to find people that are good matches for them? Maybe we need to expand our pod. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
they're probably safer out growing up than us hiding them away in the eggs right now.
Maybe, but we need a space that we could do that safely without getting tracked and hunted immediately. It's not exactly like those little baby dragons are in a good spot to be grown and raised right now.
And
We're safe.
who would we pair them with that we can trust?
Right. I'm not saying no, it's a good idea, just I don't know if we can do that right now.
No.
I like the idea a lot. I just don't know how we find more people like us.
I'm going to look over to the dragons because I'm assuming they're nearby, probably
Yeah.
listening. I'm going to look at Ardor. Why did you pick me?
I just felt it. There was something that said now.
So you were aware when you were inside of the egg?
I think so. It was. What's that thing that happens when you go to sleep?
Dream?
Yeah. A dream like fuzzy, hazy, but I know that there was there and something. Like my instinct to hunt. It was just there.
Argent, was it the same for you?
It was similar. A connection, a bond that reached out, almost. It was odd. We are young. It's hard. You know how you do not remember when you are a child, a baby? But maybe feelings can transpose? Something of that nature.
My eyes trail over to Incensia as well. Did you
Yeah.
feel something when you sense Rithera?
I guess.
Can't tell if you're just being Incensia right now and too proud to admit that you felt something, but it would help me if you told me if you felt something.
Yes.
If you'd like, I can give the dragons a little bit of a hand here. The best way any of you can really describe it in like vocalized human terms would be instinct. It's obviously very vague because, you guys have grown up, you're a lot bigger now, time has passed, and, memories fade. But essentially, it's almost like... What's the best way to describe it? It's almost like you are in a waiting room waiting for your number to be called. And the second that the person who becomes your rider steps up and offers themselves as rider, a connection is made. And it's the same as like when your number is called, you can see your number right there. You know what number your number is. So when it's called, you know immediately that it's yours. And you get up and you go. It's like that. It's that simple. It's just like, yep, this is it. This is me. And from there on, there's really no doubt.
I don't know, I just was thinking power and numbers, and
Yeah.
I know the logistics don't really make sense, and it's not like we can
Well-
have a single file line of people to see if
No.
they meet the criteria.
Well, as I was out with Tourmaline, I was thinking more. I think I might need, not yet, but might need to go to Lowhold and stay.
Stay?
With all the... Cargilia's scary. I think we all realize that. And they're subjugating, whether or not they call it that. And the towns that are going in are going because they have to, not because they want to. And Lowhold doesn't have any way to defend themselves, so they'll have to, and they're basically just going to be making weapons for war, and that's it. They're essentially going to be indentured. But if they had dragon riders and dragon riders with eggs, it's a mountain. It'd be pretty easy to defend. We could use that place. And if
That's not nice.
if I'm in charge, which is what they want, I could say that's what we do. And then we'd have a place where people who want to potentially be a dragon rider, they could go.
We'd have to vet people, because what if...
Well, yeah, but we'd have the ability to do so.
It feels like right now we're not really in a good spot. And if we don't make a better future, I feel like it could quickly slide and never stop sliding the other direction.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I think we're in a place we have to make a decision. We can't sit by anymore.
No.
And not that I want to make another city, town, forced into being the new Dragon Rider's Roost. Barry makes some really good points.
We don't have to call it that, because that might...
That is what it would be, as we all know.
Yes and no. The Cargilia isn't a dragon roost, but they have a dragon rider. They're just a place of power. If we don't call ourselves a roost and don't completely advertise that we're recruiting, that's why we can vet people that we get to know, then maybe we wouldn't be in the eyes of Cargilia so much and Desolation. We would just be a place to defend and exist and say, no, we're not going to be a part of you, but we're not going to fight you. If we have 4 dragon riders, they might not even want to mess with it.
I mean, not to be a big old bummer, but Desolation could just blow that up.
Same with Cargilia, though.
Yeah.
We can't really... I mean, that's just the way it is.
I'm not saying we should join Cargilia, but I feel if we are to grow the Dragon Rider ranks, if we're going to make ourselves or expand it, we need to decide what that will look like and likely need to be independent again.
But I agree with all of those points. Right now, immediately, we need a safe place that people can find us. In the middle of a swamp, as much as I think that we have done best with the situation we've been given, is not the right place. We do need a place we can defend from. We can set up a base of operations. It doesn't need to be a roost, but if we are to do what all just says is find new dragon riders and prepare to take on primals and maybe find other pods, does it not make sense to find a place that we can say, you can find us here?
Lowhold would be a good place for that.
To give you a bit more context on just how things are developing, every day the swamp is getting darker and that inky blackness is spreading out. It's harder to find fish. Not that I think everyone in the pod at this point wants to find fish, but...
Has anybody heard anything about where I'm from?
The little bits that I heard in the rumors is they're still untouched. But I don't know how long that'll last. It's mostly just kind of a... I don't mean this in a negative way or an insulting way, but it's not a place that has eyes on it because there's not anything that people want there. But it's easily accessible in some ways. I don't know if that would be a safe spot to be. I don't know if you want eyes on it, is more what I'm getting at, Elcha.
No, I know what you mean.
As the riders are talking, could our dragons please roll me a resolve, please?
Yes.
Any tags?
Senses, visual, smell, hearing, etc.
I have a question about Harrowhold as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like destroyed? Like, because we had caves up in the mountainside, didn't we? So
Yeah,
is everything like
the main pillar that was Harrowhold, which was essentially a giant kind of platform mountain, was essentially shorn at pretty much the halfway mark, maybe a little bit lower, and the majority of it fell on the kind of the huts and the, you know, where you started growing up and where you had your dragons to begin with, all the huts and all the everything, and kind of like smashed into rubble and buried a lot of it. Which is why you had that instance of the tunnel going down to the egg chamber, which was cleared. So a lot of it was crushed or buried, under a significant amount. The other mountains around are mostly still intact. Interestingly, the desolation did pass over and pass by, but a lot of the damage was just done by the explosion and the, fall of the Harrowhold mountain. That is gonna be Tourmaline. Tourmaline. While everyone else is chatting and, kind of deciding the fates and futures of your pod, you notice a figure walking in your direction from the kind of east, along the swamp, but seems to have come from essentially like kind of the morsel grounds pretty much, and further to the east. So apologies, didn't mean to ping that. So maybe from Frontier, maybe even from Sagacia or somewhere over that direction, but definitely in the east, southeast kind of way, and is walking fairly slowly in your direction. Still quite a ways away, but
You would know, like, Tourmaline's just been sitting there, like maybe the tip of her tail's just kind of flicking, but lazy sitting, listening to the conversation, and then almost like a sixth sense comes like tingling up her spine. And so if she has haunches, her haunches almost like the little scales on her back kind of raise a bit, and then turns and looks where this figure's coming and stands up, and her tail curls up like a dog who's like pointing at something, and just kind of it makes a lot of noise because Tourmaline's so big that in their conversation, I think it would be very noticeable that Tourmaline, who's normally very lazy, just stands up, haunches raised, tail curls up, and is staring towards a figure, and doesn't turn to them, but says,
"Someone's coming."
Okay.
I'm up weapons, like ready to, like I'm away from the group, almost trying to like get in defensive position right away.
Weapons hostile? Can you tell?
They are moving slowly.
do I notice anything else about them? Like, do they have weapons out? Are they going to like start swinging weapons and running towards us, or just kind of sauntering our way.
Female, quite slight, appears to be garbed in essentially leathers and etc. Fairly standard for like a caravan guard or a rider or whoever. Someone used to combat to some degree, I'd say. And they have a sword on their hip, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Small, slight woman. She has a sword, but it is not raised.
Hmm.
I start
Okay.
smelling the air, just like trying to get a whiff.
In that case, I will tell you, you catch the whiff of a dragon. And it is up the hill a ways, and it is attempting, at the very least, to be a little bit sneaky.
My head would whip towards the hill where I smell it.
Yeah.
She has a dragon. It is behind on the hill.
Is it Illyria?
It Tourmaline knows Illyria, so it's not Illyria, no.
It is not.
Well, they knew who we were, where we were. Okay, well, they can't get the drop on us at least.
I pull my wrist crossbow out and just like have it on but not raised.
As she will, as there's like a little bit of a flurry, I'm guessing you guys flurry of movement a little bit. She slows down and stops and puts her hand up. She's kind of like, I'd say her voice is quite soft, just because she's still fairly far away, but she says, greetings from Aradan Trueshield.
Greetings. Could you have your dragon go to you, please?
Of course. And she cups her hands and says, Disarden! And you hear like a wing beat and a green kind of, let's call it a blur. It's not exactly a blur, but it's very fast. Kind of shoots from the top of the hill, like up above you, and flies over towards her, circles once, and then lands kind of curled around her a little bit. It's a wyvern. I thought
Definitely
Oh.
snort at them.
Yeah. Little puff of smoke. I thought it was best not to approach. I thought it best to approach just by myself. And apologies. Apparently, Disarden couldn't resist but try and sneak up on you. He has a habit of that.
Yeah. How did you find us?
Aradan told me where you were. He met you a week or two ago.
Wait, that's the merchant? No.
No, that's the gentleman with the pink dragon. Perry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Are you part of his pod?
No, but for all intents and purposes, now yes.
Oh,
Did you make
he,
a new pod?
He didn't run.
Not precisely. Would you mind if I shouting, strain on the voice? Mind if I'll leave I'll leave Disarden here.
I don't see anything wrong with that. There's 4 of us. 8 of us.
I'm okay with it.
Yes.
Technically, like
You may.
14 if you count the eggs.
We ain't saying that though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Come for you may approach and
She
we'll talk.
She steps forward fairly confidently. Again, she looks about the same age as the rest of you. You know, teens into young adult at this point. And she unhooks her scabbard with her sword on, puts it down, and she walks up the hill a little bit, and onto your little kind of crafted plateau with the fire and everything. And without too much hesitation, even though she's walking through a couple of pretty large dragons compared to her own. I would say Disarden's a little bit smaller than Incensia, to give you an idea. And she kind of sits down at the edge of your kind of campfire and everything, and says, sorry, I'd have notified you of my intentions to come here, but there's really no way to do that anymore. From what I know, a large majority of our purple dragons were killed.
Right.
And what is your name?
My name's Atolla, Atolla Elise.
Oh, like our country.
Well,
I'm
Elise.
Elise.
I was originally in a pod at Sentry's Roost.
Oh,
Sentry. Oh, you've traveled far.
Over the Steel Spine, into the mountains.
well, I'm Cassandra. This is Perry, Rothera, and Dulce. And our dragons, Rothera and Cinzia, Argent, and Tourmaline.
Were you a part of the skirmish with the Cassandrians?
No,
Or
Cassandra.
oh, God. No. You don't have that many followers. Sorry.
the Cassandrians. Gonna make
I
that
was
a
just
thing.
being mean about Regalia. I'm like, wow. You can't blame me for that, Perry.
No, that is that was a part of our duty in Sentry's Roost. Something we were beginning training for, but Cassorians. Apologies.
Close.
But no, we when my pod were killed, I decided to retreat to the mountains in the hope of finding somewhere a bit isolated. Until I could decide what to do. And I ran into Aradan and a couple of other riders who had the same idea. I assume, I know, you four are from Harrowhold?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear what happened there.
We're
Yeah.
sorry to hear what happened for you as well.
I decided to come down more into the lowlands, and Aradan suggested I come here to meet you before I head further in. Hopefully you have a little bit of news so I know what I'm walking into.
Possibly. Where are you headed?
Harrowhold.
Oh, I would suggest not going there.
Is there a reason you were heading to Harrowhold specifically?
Yeah.
I was hoping to recover some texts.
Yeah, that's not gonna work out. Cargillion, or Cargilia, is kind of taking it over, and if you go there, they're gonna probably conscript you, willingly or not.
Aradan was worried about that. Okay.
What kind of information were you looking for?
We have encountered a wind in the south in the mountains. It travels like it has intelligence and is mostly made up of snow and ice.
That would explain the growing winter potential, and probably a primal.
Winter,
Go with the rest.
winter has been encroaching on the mountains and moving down.
Yes, I noticed that in my scouting. That's probably a primal, unfortunately.
What's the primal?
Ancient being of magic and whatnot that used to be sealed, but due to the whole nightmare of the giant black dragon, those seals are breaking down and they're getting released. You know, end of the world stuff.
Oh,
We also wish to go to Harrowhold and recover texts.
And yeah, we're not doing that really
Well,
because
we
of
might do that. We haven't decided
it's fair.
as
It's
yet.
hard to really figure out what to do, how to
Yeah.
proceed at this point.
Hypothetical question for you and your new pod. If there was a central place where some dragon riders were going, and that was more or less safe, what would you do if you heard of that?
And I'd ask where it was first.
Right, and then if you got an answer, what if it was a neutral area as an answer? What would you do?
Well, with Aradan leading the way, we've decided to forego any interaction with the previous people side of our duties. We don't have a name for ourselves yet because it's only newly formed and there is just currently 3 of us, although possibly 4. But we've decided that there is no... And she gives like a kind of like slightly wry smile. There is currently no rhyme or reason to policing the cities and the states at this point. And that if we do, we will either be forced to kill a lot of people or affect the balance of power in such a way that it will lead us towards an abuse of that power, which is something that is entirely an antithesis of what the Dragon Riders were.
Right.
You hear Ultra like clear her throat.
Yeah.
Tessa's looking a little smug. Like,
And because of that, we are going to dedicate ourselves to the one thing that we feel, or Aradan feels, was the purest part of our job.
And what do you think that is?
I think it was the managing of the wild fringes, where monsters and large monstrous creatures would roam and would try and encroach upon lands. It is a small protection, and obviously we won't be able to do a vast amount, but at the very least we can start with the southern ranges, the mountains, the frozen wastes, and make sure that it doesn't encroach too far.
we were of a similar view.
Yeah.
And then we learnt of the primals.
Which kind of still lines up with that view.
If
We just believe that the primals need to be dealt with first.
Right.
If I could ask, I have never heard of these primals before, although we all have experienced to some degree the strange wind in the south. How powerful, how dangerous are these things?
Well, I have a theory about one of them, but it's just a theory at the moment. But
would you actually mind if my dragon joined us at this point? He's going to be traveling back to relay to Aradan any information needed while I go on towards Harrowhold.
I'm gonna kind
Right.
of flick my eyes to Rithera, and I'm like a little Like, yeah?
I
The vibe you're getting? Like,
yeah, and I would agree. Yeah.
like everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
If your dragon would like to join us.
Of course. And if there's anything you don't want him relaying, please do just tell us.
And I would flick my eyes to where Incendia is.
But
Just as a like trying to see where everybody, how spread out are they? Are our dragons listening, or are they off kind of?
it's down
Oh,
to your
yeah,
dragons, really.
Like 100% nearly breathing down Rethera's neck.
Arjun would probably be coiled, like, not around
Oh, yeah, it's like-
Cassandra, but like very close.
Almost
Kind of like the sideways coils.
Yeah.
So like you've kind of got a horseshoe behind you as
almost-
like protective.
Almost like a couple of elbows, like...
Yeah, pretty
Yeah, you
much.
don't even,
Like you've got a very
realize just-
a protective horseshoe around you.
Yeah.
Right. So they're very close, and it's a kind of like if anything was to happen, there's a very quick defense and reaction.
Yep. Not hostile, but defensive.
Yeah.
I think, like,
I was to say Tourmaline's just sitting like where Perry is, like so Tourmaline's back is to Perry's back, and Tourmaline's sitting very straight and has not looked away from where the dragon is lurking. So Tourmaline's more alert and very much like, do not touch my Perry.
And she kind of steps away a little bit to signal to her dragon. As I said, her dragon is a green wyvern, quite not particularly large, but fairly well, I would say, muscled. So quite compact, but quite a bit of
Bulldogish.
a bit of a coiled spring.
Yeah.
And he comes up the side of the cliff, the mountain, the hill, up to where you are. He stays a little bit away, but close enough to communicate and etc. And he says, "Greetings. I am Disarden. I am Dragon and Protector to Atola Elise."
Good to meet you.
And Perry kind of looks at Cassandra Thera, Ulcha, kind of a little bit. And
Does their idea kind of line up with what I was suggesting? Without going into detail, of course. But that kind of would fit into what I was thinking.
not really, as if that your version would be involving people and
Well-
politics, whether you liked it or not, Perry.
True, but it still kind of fits.
Logistically, Perry, can we be close without being involved? Location wise?
I mean, I could make it that way, yeah. That's kind of the thing.
I think it's better to not pick sides.
Well, that
Mhm.
wouldn't be, that's the whole point. It wouldn't really be. It would, but it wouldn't.
You know what I mean, like alignment.
I know, but
Why did we avoid cities when everything first happened, Perry?
because we didn't know what was going to happen. But if we can control some of that outcome,
But that's getting involved in politics.
we're going to get involved one way or another. That's the problem.
Someone is always going to say there's a bias.
Exactly. We're going to have to choose at one point. And if there's more and more of us,
in like motion to Alada or Atala.
like, it's going to be hard to ignore unless we hide always and never leave. And we can't help the fringes without leaving or going out. We will be seen.
We intend to operate in as much secrecy as possible without contacting villages, towns, or cities. As we have currently decided to set our course, any who try to interfere with us will die, and any who try to recruit us will be ignored. If we see a army attacking a town, it will be ignored. As much as we would like to help people, and this is just what we have decided, where we have ended up, it is very noble to want to help people. Our intervention will only make things worse at this point. So we have decided that we will not intervene, and we will reinforce our isolation and our neutrality.
If you are ignoring recruitment, why did you come to find others?
I did not come to recruit you.
But you came to find us.
I
You literally did everything that is the opposite of what you just said that your pod stands by, of keeping yourself secret and protected.
Secret to
Non-dragon riders.
people of these.
the outside world. Aradan vouchsafed that he had a generally positive interaction with you, and that you had not gone down the path of influence, power, and corruption. If that has changed, then I can leave.
No.
We're out in the middle of the swamp. I think that speaks for itself.
The swamp is looking quite corrupt at this point, although I do not think you had anything to do with it.
No, we know where the cause is, though.
Dead primal.
Mm-hmm.
If, to ask a question, seeing as we are currently dealing with what is possibly a primal ourselves, if you were to compare our masters to a primal, how would they fare? How many would it take to, however they're able to be dealt with, to deal with them?
If my theory is correct, I don't know that they could be dealt with at their full capacity, especially not currently, with how many dragon riders we believe are left.
True. But that's a primal that's completely out and unsealed. These primals might still have some seals on them. They're just slowly breaking out. It's hard to know until we encounter one.
And that is part of the information that we need to locate.
That is what I was hoping to find in Harrowhold, was an explanation and a solution. I was hoping to get in and out as quietly as possible, but it appears that is not really an option.
No.
No.
Not only the primals, it's people now too.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps there is a way to gain entrance. Perhaps I can convince them to not. Phrasing. Encourage me to stay. If I were to go to Harrowhold and use my influence, sort of meaningful look at the group, to gain access with promises of fealty and support, perhaps.
That'll bite us later.
Well, promises to go discuss the matter.
That would bite us less, probably.
Yes. Well,
But are they going to let you have information on just a promise of a conversation?
I
No,
suppose
but
depends who's in charge at Harhold currently.
could use your influence.
Before you commit to a what I would consider fairly rash and dangerous path of action, could I ask whose wyvern that is? Pointing at Incensia.
Mine.
Is it, considering what a dragon of her power can do, is it not feasible that we could maybe infiltrate at night while a distraction is laid, possibly the presentation of a fictitious attack or raid or something?
I was thinking the exact same thing.
If
I can
If
do
we
that.
need this information, Harry, if we needed to survive and fix what is breaking before it breaks fully, I don't want to hurt people, but I also want to protect people.
I'm in the same mind.
Ultra?
You just see her studying this new person, kind of like, why are you coming and asking for more? Why are people just coming and asking us for stuff all the time? And then, like, listening to the three of them discuss things, just kind of like sitting there a little bit agitated, kind of shifting from side to side. We're kind of working on our own plan here. Like, we were already.
They do
We just-
align, Ultra. I know it's frustrating, but we all want information. And
So, we're just going to trust this person.
well, we don't have to trust them as, we don't have to trust them wholeheartedly. No offense, of course.
None taken. These are difficult times.
But the primals are releasing regardless, and we have had good experiences with Aradan. And if the goal is for us all to go against the primals, then why not work together on this? Doesn't mean we have to be best friends or podmates.
Just like side eyeing this new person and their dragon. Sounds good on paper.
I would
I-
say there's a small warning growl from the green wyvern. Just a little bit of an unhappy, just directed in Ultra's direction as she is, questioning.
I would whip my head around and look at it and kind of give it a death stare. Just like narrow my eyes.
Okay. All right.
Trust is hard at this moment in this situation.
Well,
We're
if our,
talking ideas.
Yes. our
Sorry, I'll
visions align, I guess I trust you all. Whatever you'd like to do is fine with me.
your opinion matters to us, though.
And a lot of it probably is not coming across, but like, Ultra was just kidnapped. And so she's feeling like people are just, you don't know what this person might do. And like, she came out of the blue, is like, hey, and correct me if I'm wrong. I heard her say that they're going to kill whoever stands in their way. Right?
Essentially, to some degree, yes.
So so in Ulta's head, she's going, this feels like a no-win situation. Like if we back out, are they just going to unleash whatever kind of hell they have on us? Or, and then she's also thinking about how, well, I want to take the eggs and see if we can grow our pod. And so just feeling like a bit of a tug of war moment.
I would say most likely at that point, Atolla says, and looks at you directly and says, is there anything that I can do to help? If you're concerned about me.
I'm going to walk straight up to them and stick my hand out.
Yeah.
You have to promise that you are well-intentioned and you will shake on it. And if you break that promise, and I just kind of tilt my head.
Well-intentioned to who?
To this group, my dragons, and my friends.
Yes, I have no ill intentions and no intentions of working against your group as things currently stand. She puts out her hand.
I'll shake it and squeeze it a little tight before letting it go.
And I'll give you this as well. Like, you've all been training to a certain degree. She doesn't seem particularly strong in terms of like grip, muscle, etc. There's a possibility that she has not been weapon training like the rest of you have.
Do I get an inkling that she's talking a big game?
That is hard to tell.
Okay.
It's, there's many aspects of being a rider. So, I would say, given all of your training as riders, there's a distinct possibility that the neglect of one aspect of training could be a increase in training in other places. I was gonna say, to use another example, Illyria was very good with the dragon powers and etc. Was not particularly good at air combat and was not particularly martial.
I think Ultra realizes she's being difficult and is trying to not get in the way as much as possible because she's in full emo mode. So after the handshake, she glances over at their dragon again, kind of just gives it a little side eye, and then turns around, like puts her back to the dragon and to her, and then walks away and stands.
As you start to turn, you hear her dragon rumble.
I'm gonna just say, like, keep your dragon in check as I'm walking away.
The dragon, when he rumbles, he actually says, why are you still concerned with my rider?
That's between me and your rider.
You know that's never true. A dragon is linked to their rider.
The last bit of time, if you're not unfamiliar, has been very challenging for a lot of us. Everything that we once knew is different and gone, and we're supposed to trust strangers who walk up to your camp that you purposely tried to hide from others. I was kidnapped, and then I had to try to convince these people that kidnapping me was wrong. We went to find someone's home to find it destroyed. So yeah, I have a problem with other people right now. I will not apologize for it.
I'm not asking for an apology.
Well, you wanted a reason, there's a reason.
find your reason insufficient.
I don't
That's-
care if you find it insufficient.
There's growling, and Ardor is like on all fours, just puffing up a little bit of like, because I can feel Ulcha getting very upset.
Okay. All right. Let's
Take a moment. Yes.
yeah, literal step back. Just this isn't gonna help anyone or anything right now.
I believe if we have a potential issue, we should resolve it before we do something as dangerous as infiltrating an enemy base. And therefore, I would like to continue, if that is all right with everyone else.
I agree. Resolve the issue, but less growling, perhaps. Like looking at Ardor.
There's just like,
Have a conversation.
Ardor is like full on protection mode, like just not looking for confrontation, not going to fight, but like, if anything needs to happen, I will snap and I will grab Ulcha and I will make sure she's protected and I will full on firebolt whoever I need to. But just more looking to be intimidating than of like a just back down. This is not your home. This is not your place. And we are in control here.
I feel like if Cassandra says maybe less growling to Ardor, I'm going to look at Cassandra and be like, he was growling.
And I would hope that Disarden would also agree to rein that in somewhat. So we can...
I will.
Thank you. And Ardor, I understand how you feel about Ultra, but if we accelerate and exacerbate any feelings of frustration, that's not conducive to a healthy discussion.
I don't want to get in the way of anything. I'm just...
It's a fair
Interesting.
question, Ultra, to about can we trust people? But I think it's a fair pushback of wanting to know a little bit why.
I stick with my pod and I'm looking directly at their dragon. So what my pod does, I will show up for and I will do everything I can. And if my pod chooses to go with you too, then you don't have anything to worry about.
That is a little concerning to me.
I think that might be as good as it gets. You are admittedly avoiding pretty much everyone as well, because you do not trust them. You did take a calculated risk coming here, which is fair, but you also did admit to yourself that anyone who does not agree with you, you will either ignore them or kill them. That is a fair reason to be worried.
We have committed to a cause, all agreed on, all with our own reasoning, and all with our own propulsion. A dragon with no purpose, with no direction, is merely a kite floating in the wind.
I
All due
very much
respect, you,
have purpose and direction.
To blindly follow is not to have any direction at all.
That's not blindly following, though. That's agreeing with the group. Blindly following would just be not thinking about it or contributing. She has made her points and has contributed.
And we
That does
were
not
to-
mean that she can't join and will not be effective in that.
She seems unsure. It worries me slightly. That is all.
That is all. Thank you.
I'm still just glaring at this dragon. Like how, not saying anything, but just internally being like,
Yeah.
you don't know me. You don't know what I've come from. Like kind of like I'm going to mess you up.
I feel like we're
Like-
closing ranks around Ultra. Like,
as a,
Yeah, I like you could see like Ultra's tremoring in a sense of like keep your shit under control. Because it's kind of attacking every bit of her foundation that she's already shaky on. So it's just kind of like
yeah.
seething, literally seething, but like you can see her body shaking, but not saying anything, just staring at this dragon.
As a small sidebar for everyone watching, Atolla is super uncomfortable and like really not super happy with her dragon right now, where she's like elbowed him a couple of times and he's ignored it.
Rithera, how do you feel about that?
We work together as a pod. We discuss, we hear all points of view, and we respect other people. We might not all always see exactly the same way.
All I wish to see is some form of conviction that comes from self and not from group.
There clearly is. That's
Clearly
why
is.
she raised her concerns.
So thank you.
You're doing
But-
the same thing. Sorry, I'm not
No.
meaning to talk over you.
You are. This conversation is between the riders and us figuring out what is going on. We will tell you what information needs to be said, what said, or when.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
look at the rider. What's the rider's name again?
Atolla.
Atolla.
Atolla. Do you even have control over your dragon? Or does he run the show?
Disarden has his own thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, so does mine. But clearly, there's a lack of respect.
There is respect, but respect is always earned. While I'm not always comfortable with what he says, he is very often on the right path. So while he is being a bit rude, and at this point she like elbows him again, and like he is not unfair for no reason, in my experience.
And yet he'll go along with what you decide.
That's not how we operate. We decide together.
Hmm.
But
If you have a stronger opinion and make some good points, he'll follow you, right?
of course.
Ah. So, part of the group. And I look directly at Ulcha. So very, very similar to what he's complaining about. And Perry just kind of grins at the wyvern.
Protection is an ugly thing sometimes.
I believe his concern, if I may, was that Ultra had stated her position as essentially going along with the rest of you with no reasoning for your current course of action.
Which would be wrong.
This is all we've heard, so this is all we can go by.
And we've said otherwise to you.
And jumping to conclusions without understanding the full situation can get you in trouble.
A valid point.
So maybe we continue
Please.
Yes.
before this devolves into nothing and we go our separate ways.
With some reservations, I will agree.
I would ask you to be quiet, please. We are not including you in the conversation right now. Thank you.
You can see Ultra's still like tremoring and like opening her mouth a lot to say something and then closes it and then opens her mouth to say something and then closes it.
I think Perry like kind of reaches up and like pats your arm. Also.
You feel like the shaking when you touch.
Oh yeah, that's why it's like okay, all right.
And then I think it kind of in a way it's like the grounding, like it's like okay, and tries to disconnect a little bit from the actual rage she is feeling internally.
And if you step back at all, like Ardor's head is like literally just like right. One of them is like right there as like the comfort of like, I got you.
Yeah.
Good. You've got your support.
Yeah, I think those two bits of touch from externally shakes her a little bit out of it, but she's still like absolutely just. He's literally saying what she's saying. Like, I have some reservations, which is what Ulcha is saying. So just kind of like doing the thing where it's like, I'm going to let the conversation continue and see where this goes.
Would anyone like some tea? Sit down and...
Some tea would be lovely.
Tea.
You'd get some from that merchant, that's right.
Yes, let's sit, everyone. And discuss our plan for infiltrating, shall we? Okay.
And just to clarify, we all confirm infiltrating's our best option right now for information.
I think it's our only option, which makes it the best.
I think yes. There's nothing to be gained from a show of force. We don't need to kill where it's not necessary.
No.
Also agree. And get out quiet, subdue potentially, but not kill. We can get the information and leave unseen, and hopefully they won't trace us back anywhere.
If worst comes to worst, Disarden can set fire to a large area and essentially burn for quite a long time. That would be
as
very
another distraction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
What if
let's,
both?
Sorry, Perry, go ahead.
Well, what if both? Incinzia causing what looks like an attack and then an actual fire elsewhere.
The green fire would betray the presence of a dragon.
Oh, true.
And the fire itself can be extremely dangerous.
Okay, no, that's fair.
What about just a regular fire?
From one of your dragons, perhaps it could work. Disarden, and she smiles a little bit wryly at Ulcha, has difficulty with control.
But Ardor can set standard fires, so to speak. So that could work if we have a fire and an illusion. It makes it harder to determine what's real and not. And a fire might be more... Well...
Harry's like going through like numbers in his head and just...
There's a real fire and an illusion of nothing being there. Why make it an attack when they have to take care of a fire? They leave the area and there's an illusion that looks normal. And we can just go through, essentially invisible.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be distracted.
Be a very important place for them to all want to.
If there's... Well, so it's gonna be night. They'll be at camp. But what if it's... I'm trying to think.
I would hate to attack food storage.
No, I'm not thinking... Well...
But food storage...
Food would be fine, in the sense, because they're from Corgilia. They have the resources. Worst case, they have to leave. But if we hit their food storage, they're not going to be in there at night. It would make it so we're not harming people, but they would go and try to put that fire out immediately. That would pull so many people away.
Would it be possible, instead of just purely attacking the supplies, to confiscate them? We have difficulty up in the mountains with the barity of resources and food, that it would help us, and I would assume you would also benefit.
Maybe, but that does add an extra moving part
That's true.
and more risk.
If we blanket the area with the mist first, clear out the stores, clear out the mist, and then they won't be inside to see if it's there.
How are we going to clear it out? Quietly. Usually those are central in camps.
And I
We'd
imagine there would be guards.
And that too.
There's always guards active on food storage.
And
I guess if we would like to avoid any type of conflict, it would be best to ignore it then, as it
yeah,
poses
Yeah.
too much of a risk.
I think so.
Very well.
Potentially setting fire to it and then letting them deal with it so that we don't have to do anything except go in and then get out. Seems like the least amount of risk and harm.
Is making people invisible something that, or like making it seem an illusion seem like there's nothing disruptive, something that I would know that could be done or not done?
It's something that you've never tried before, but theoretically speaking, you could erase the presence of, or essentially cover the presence of, beings and things.
Cassandra's thought on it is, like, you could add things, right? So it would be like adding a layer of the town on top of the town.
There's also a possibility that you could subtract things as well. It's not something you've tried, but theoretically speaking, you could create a void of everything. Essentially take away not the entirety of senses, but definitely sight, in terms of just presenting a completely black space of nothingness. But again, it's something you haven't tried yet, so that would be theoretical.
As this idea is something we've never tried, would we like to try it first before we bank all of our, or just make a plan B? Not that I don't think Incinzia could absolutely do it.
It'd be a very easy test to just do.
I'm sure I can do it.
Okay. I guess testing it would be a good idea then, because then we would be able to see how well it works. I'm sure you can do it.
What do you want to make disappear?
I mean, why not? This camp, we could get everybody like on one side, like just have a couple of us essentially be just the logs that are here, and then the rest of you can test it and see if we aren't here anymore.
Perhaps we would want some of us inside the camp so we can
And that's what I mean.
make sure there's movement to...
Yeah, no, I mean like half of this campfire, so some of us can see, and some of us are in the illusion.
I think half and half sounds fair to me. What do you think, Incinzia?
Natasha's thinking that mist doesn't stop at all. But,
That's fine. I can do that.
Let's make half the camp disappear, or like roughly half.
And I will try and do that, please. I'm kind of just, I guess we like split up a little bit.
Mhm.
Um,
Because I imagine, like, I'm picturing it that we're sitting on like logs ish
Yeah.
around, and like maybe half of us here, half of us are like, so we can make some of the dragons disappear. Rothera really wants to make this new person and their dragon disappear.
I feel like they probably.
Um,
I'm waiting for like Rothera to hop on. Like
Okay.
this is how we work.
Yeah. And if I like, I'll hop on and be like ready to go.
Even though I'm not flying, like
No, but
Can I ask something just for a little bit of extra context? Mostly because I'm curious.
mm,
In Cinzia, fairly competitive dragon, correct?
yeah. Like I don't
Um,
even feel like I should have to do a test, but I want to show this stupid. Wyvern.
Well, this is the thing, is what I was gonna ask. Does the fact that this new kid that's shown up on the block, being another wyvern, does that increase the competitiveness at all? Because there's a comparison that can be. Yeah, I
I mean,
did wonder.
I'm larger,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah,
but he was rude to our pod mate, so
right. But he wasn't rude to Rothera.
no, so it's not as bad as it could be. We would have had a fight,
Yeah. I mean,
but
yeah.
you know,
But
there's a like
I mean, you know,
acceptance of our pod now.
yeah, but Incenzia doesn't care about her pod, right? That's what she
Not-
said multiple times to Rothera.
Well, no, we had a little,
Mm,
I think there
know,
was some
the
development
ball
earlier
play.
today.
you know,
but she's not told them that.
right,
But
right.
like,
Mm,
yeah, there's definitely it's more competitive because it's a wyvern and
Yeah.
because he was rude. So, we try really hard.
okay.
So you're essentially having half in, half out in terms of people observing,
Mm-hmm.
and the attempt is to some degree remove,
Or make look, yeah.
make it look like they aren't there.
Yeah.
Okay. So in general, as a rule so far, you have only been able to affect the people inside the mist with illusions.
Okay.
However, there is a possibility, however, you will need help. If you coat an area in Incendia's mist and approach the control of power from a different direction, instead of trying to cause vision and affect the senses of people inside the illusion, instead, if you try and affect the mist to take on a more of a mirage-like aspect with Cassandra and Argent, basically adding some extra context to what you're doing, it is possible that you could essentially present a camouflage and a mirage which would hide you, as opposed to anything else. Which I would say has utility going forward. You could, for example, if you leave the cave, coat the cave in mist, camouflage it so it just looks like the side of a hill.
Ooh.
The only thing would be is that it would be dependent on the wind. If the wind picks up, if the wind is too strong, or, for example, if a dragon flies over it with big flappy wing beats, then it's going to disperse the mist to some degree.
Right.
It's fine.
Okay. In that case, is that how you would like to proceed, shall we say?
Yeah, I think like this is like, oh, a new way to do this.
Yeah.
All right.
I can do it.
In that case,
So-
could I get a power from Incenzia and a control from Rothera?
In would our deeper meld out here?
It would.
I'm deeper meld
And-
and competitive.
And competitive.
And would my Incensia insight into the competitive side of things
It would
all fit?
100% help.
Okay.
So you're both rolling for 4s, and Incensia's rolled, yeah, there you go.
I
3s
rolled all
and
three.
3s. With both of you rolling a 10 as well, the line of the outline of your personalities, of your individuality, shimmers a little bit. There is a feeling of synchronicity that has never been there before, whereby it's not that your minds meld together. It's not that your kind of, let's call it souls for the sake of argument, meld together. What happens is almost when you see those like microwave readings, you know, the lines that go up and down, they kind of go into sync, whereby you're thinking the same thing at the same time. You're kind of much more in sync with each other, and you can almost predict what the other's thinking and where you're going to go and move. And you realize that the power you have is not the power you can bring forth from Incensia, that Incensia can manifest, and the power that you control is not completely limited to just illusion. The mist is created via the manifestation of Incensia's power. You have control over the mist to some degree, which allows you to control the reflective nature, much like a mirage. And given your success here, and I will say this is pretty difficult, so it is only because you got 3 power and 3 control, and also rolled pretty well alongside that with a couple of 10s, etc. Before Argent and Cassandra can step in and add to the power, you are already, to a certain degree, molding and controlling the mist. It almost looks like it's in a little bit of a bubble, almost. And instead of controlling that power, instead of taking that power that is manifested to start creating illusions, instead you change the composition of the mist and how it reacts with the light, and how the kind of density of it and etc. And to everyone outside, all you see is a flat, slightly sloped hill. The cave has disappeared. The dragon and dragon riders that were there have disappeared. And to everyone inside, all you see is mist. It's not even that thick. You can see outside of the mist. It is just a kind of grey shimmer that kind of, almost like a filter over your eyes.
There's a little pat that no one can see. Oh, go ahead.
See, easy.
Great job.
And I assume you dissipate it, and well, you could leave it there if you like, but honestly,
Just want them gone.
yeah, with the number of dragons you have here and the likelihood of flying, like, it's gonna get dissipated almost instantaneously.
So that'll work.
What you could do in the execution of it, in you know, when you actually use it with the plan, if you're able to do this, like reproduce this again, you could instead have Cassandra and Argent enhance it by enhancing the size, which will mean you don't need as much control and everything. You don't need as much power manifested, and they could expand the size of it for you so it covers more area. Okay.
So I think this can work as a plan.
Yes. Cassandra, would it be wise for you and I to be the only ones to go in? My flight is not as much of an issue for the dissipation of the mist, and I can fly quietly. We could get in and get out with no noise.
That's true.
The others could wait in reserve in case something goes wrong.
You both know what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Yes, I think that's a very good idea, Argent. Perhaps I will need a closer quarters disabling weapon than my stave, though. I'm just gonna look around, like, just think, I don't have a big old stave.
We can help you with that.
Okay. Shall we go tonight? Do we feel prepared?
Sooner than later would be wise if they have only recently established themselves there. The longer we wait, the more they set a foothold.
We're not in a hurry, but I also don't see any reason to delay either.
Were there any particular texts that you wished for us to collect?
If this is to do with primals, then primals, but also details of the frozen wastes to the south of Harrowhold would be great, or just the icy and snow ranges of Latis in general would be good.
We can look for detailed maps.
Maps, information, anything really. None of us have much experience of the area.
We will do our best. Perhaps there should be a way for us to communicate in case we have to skedaddle rather quickly.
Maybe, yeah, we, Sound, maybe? I'm trying to think of what would be an easy thing that might not be disruptive.
Or obvious that it's dragons.
Yes.
Were there any, like, bells in town? Like a clock tower or an alarm bell or something that might have been there that we could utilize, I guess. I mean, obviously, maybe they'll ring them if there's a fire, but...
There weren't in Harrowhold. It's possible, but unlikely that the expeditionary force brought one with them. And I'd say a couple of the larger cities do have bells, but probably don't,
Actually,
And Perry goes into his bag and just kind of finds some he took some oars and things from Lowhold when he left.
might be able to... Tourmaline,
Yes, Barry?
could you...
And he pulls out one of his bolts and kind of chips off a chunk of ore from that. And
Could you make this hollow and meld it to the bolt I have? Because if so, I could get you the wrist crossbow, Cass. and then you could fire it at like a wall, and it'll make like a plunk sound. It'll make enough noise, but maybe not so loud that it might alert everybody else. It wouldn't be like a bell, but
Well, it would be more so that Argent and I would know to get out of the library.
oh, well then I could use it myself then.
I'm-
In that case too.
I'm just gonna send you something which is going to be a further thought on that. So carry on. But,
I know Tourmaline can manipulate stuff. Can I form things like into like a hollow shape? I know I could melt it or like make it liquid, but like, can I?
You made my bolts.
I did.
yeah.
Okay, so
if Perry provides the mold and also the control for the power, you can liquefy things that will then go into a mold and then solidify it around that mold. It's a much more effective process than firing a forge and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I believe we can do that. Like we did
Yeah.
with the bolts before.
Yeah. I'd have to take a moment to kind of get a little bit of the mold made, but that's not too bad. I can essentially just get some mud and we could fire it a little bit to get it soft.
Okay, and he like starts mumbling to himself and doing what Perry does. And starts, yeah.
Tourmaline's just gonna stand by, like ready to hold any tools that Harry needs held, and just kind of like makes herself available as an assistant for this mold making.
Yeah, he'll probably like have you literally fire clay to like solidify the mold.
Yeah, I feel like just like little. We've probably worked on this little controlled burst of fire that Tourmaline can do to just kind of help with the process and quicken it up a little bit. So I just feel like instinctually we know how to like you hold it out, I blow the fire on it, and then we continue to the next step.
Yeah. I like that. I do like that idea that you sent.
It's
The reason that
a
Perry
form.
didn't want to do that is because it's very obvious.
It is obvious, but it is possible that you could tailor them to, for example, like bird screeches, like eagle screech, or
Yeah, that's fair.
um,
Yeah.
which I would say, in general, even like the whistle wouldn't be. It would, even if it doesn't work for this scenario. Going forward, it would be good alarm and communication things, considering you don't have a purple dragon with you.
Yeah.
So it's something to. Essentially, the idea came to me while Perry was suggesting his, and I was like, "This is a good follow-on thought for Perry," so I'll throw it in there.
Yeah. Yeah, so Perry, like, essentially, and I think he will do something like that, where Perry is basically making more or less like a small whistle. He puts in like a couple of slits on the sides that when the bolt flies, it'll make kind of a whistling noise. But he tries to make it closer to like a bird sound rather than just an outright whistle, because it'll be really obvious. So maybe like a slightly longer slit so that it kind of sounds a bit more screechy rather than whistly.
Very slightly more natural as opposed to a kind of like
Yeah.
a more human whistle, or kind of
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like, those Nerf things from like 20 years ago that would spin and make whistling sounds. Any rolls we need to make probably for that?
Yeah, let's go for let's have a look here. I would say for Tourmaline, let's go for a power, just purely because you're assisting essentially through that way. And I would say for Perry, this is probably gonna be it's not really it's not really martial because you're not making weapons of war. You're not really,
Yeah.
I would say resolve. For
Yeah, that's fair.
Parry. And this would be crafting and assisting crafting.
Yeah. In that case, I'm actually. It's kind of funny that I don't have a crafting tag, for some reason.
I would say, given the concentration Perry has had in his training, and also specifically now, he has mostly been focused on any form of crafting to distract himself from everything else. A tag of, let's say, smith, because
he was getting trained by a smith at one.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
And that could be any type of smithing. It doesn't have to be ironworking. It could be, a more kind of craft smith, as it were.
Yeah.
So if you're doing like wooden craft, etc., I think that would count as well, just going forward.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
I was trying to think of something that wasn't just crafting tag, which is...
Yeah, no, because that's way too general.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Smith, and then I think, would this count under wrist crossbow tag as well then?
I would say yes.
Or...
Yes, because that's one of your specialities, so you'd be much more versed in those things. So you're rolling at a 4 success gate. Okay. I would say it's something that can occupy you until nightfall, which is when you're essentially going to be moving out anyway. It takes a bit of it takes a bit of trial and error, and I'd say you're limited in how quickly you can make these, and etc. So as a vague guideline going forward, in any kind of instances that are needed, Perry can, or anyone with a bow or something that can use bolts and arrows and stuff, can fire out a, let's call it an alarm arrow or alarm bolt, which will essentially convey a message that can be described in one word. So, danger, alert, enemy, etc. So, just whenever you want to fire off one of those, let me know, and let me know what the word is. And you'll be able to do that a couple of times during,
Ooh.
Neat.
It's a good way of communicating.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, good idea, Perry.
So, what I'll say is, for now, there is a small amount of tense waiting. The waiting because you're waiting till a bit later in the day, and the tense because there was a little argument between a dragon and an owl. But as the sun starts to set again, as is its tendency, we will fade out and finish for today. As things, I think for the first time, have a proper direction for our Dragon Riders. And thank you, everyone. It's a very interesting episode.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So, yeah, open table for any thoughts. We'll do outros in a little bit, and yeah.
I just think it's interesting how Perry wants to be king of a mountain. Okay. I just
Well,
think
I don't
it's
think
interesting.
he does not want to be king of a mountain.
Sounds a little bit like he wants to be king of a mountain.
It sounds like he's very resolved to be a king of a mountain.
That does not mean he wants to be, though.
Yeah.
This is the thing as well, right? Is Perry is so focused on trying to protect people, he's not thinking about the consequences of what taking that position will mean.
Mhm.
And he's like, I love his positivity, but it is also like, I can protect and not kill. I like, if I just take my place as king of the mountain, then no one will attack us. Like, you know, it'd be too much of a if I get all of my friends as well, we can protect my home.
We just don't tell anyone that we are. Like, no one will know.
Which as a little sidebar, Dan, like that whole bit where Perry was so like blinkeredly positive and like this can work, we can do this, had me like misting up a little bit. I was like, oh Perry, dude, like come on man, that's so rough. like it's I'm like, why are you doing this to me after I did this to you? The
Or he just wants
consequences
his-
of my actions, damn it.
You did this.
I did.
What
Harry just
Cassandra
wants
heard
his-
is
yeah.
Harry wants to take control and be the king of the...
Where it's the exact opposite for Perry. He's willing to give up what he wants to protect his own people and friends.
Speaking for myself, it was very awesome to see my own words flung back at me from Rithera. That was a really cool moment. It was a lot of fun to have an aggro dragon basically grumble at Ultra.
Yeah.
Which I apologize for. Unfortunately, while Atola's fairly chill, Disarden is distinctly less chill. So,
I don't think you need to apologize. That stuff's fun for me, so.
me too.
I think it adds like interesting contention within our own pod
Mhm.
of like Cassandra was definitely taken aback when you're like, don't you have control of your dragon? It's like, whoa, back up. But whoa.
But it was nice too, though, that like the pod was kind of coming to Ultra's defense a little bit too. So I think it solidified some comfort
Yeah.
with her family, essentially. Like, okay, like they got my back, even if I think Ultra knows she's not really like as stable as she could be. So, you know, the burden of her unstableness and feeling guilt about it, but also like that dragon was literally saying the same thing as Ultra was.
Yeah. One interesting side effect that is literally just for the meta for you guys, because I think you'll find it fun. He almost said one more thing, but he was essentially nudged into silence by his rider. He was going to say, it's amazing how difficult to deal with all of these owl people are.
Or the will be real bad. It will be real bad.
Well, wait. I know this is metagaming though, but I'm like,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
It means it
Sorry.
implies he's worked with them before.
Yeah, I know.
If you
But does it mean the Kassorians? Or
Mm.
no, you mean mine.
the Sagacians.
Oh no.
Wait, but that makes me go like, what are my people okay? Even though they
Well, that's what I'm saying is because the rider and the dragon are operating in the mountains, they're right by the Sagacians to some degree, which means
Oh my-
that it's very possible they've even protected them at some point because of how they're operating currently.
it was better they did not say that.
Yeah. Well, that's why he was nudged into fucking silence, because he'd already said too much. But I just found it interesting because if you guys hadn't been quite so aggro, he probably would have said it, and then you might have got the information she wanted about Sagacia.
Yep. Well, I also feel like there's a missed opportunity for my head to spin around 180 degrees, and I feel like I gotta remember that Ultra can do that. So
Yeah.
It's just like turn your back, but gradually like watch them as you walk away.
that's so creepy.
The head stays,
Oh.
but the body
I
turns.
think.
Oh.
Oh God.
I think the most awesome thing about that is you can do the sassy walk away while also giving someone the stink eye.
Yeah.
Just
It's
hope you don't
also-
trip over something.
Yeah. Just walk into a tree.
A
also like a
really
horror
hammer your
movie.
point across.
Ruins the effect a little, maybe.
Maybe you have to scan of like ahead of where you're going first to make sure you don't embarrass yourself, and then turn your head around.
Here, the way to intimidate is do a push-up but keep looking at them.
Ew, I hate it. But also, I think that would be impressive. So,
What's the one where you do push-ups vertically?
It's
You
a
know,
push
you
up against the wall. It's just a wall push up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like at an angle, but stare at them.
Yeah. You could do it upside down and just be staring at them while you do it.
Oh
like,
yeah,
Am I a
the
gym
the
bro?
inverted.
Like-
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're doing
Why
handstand
ultra
push-ups
gym
while staring
bro?
at them.
Just-
so
yeah,
I'm a
there
gym
you go.
bro
It's just
with
getting
my
worse
head
and
that
worse,
just
really.
turns 180 degrees.
Whole
But-
personalities there.
I'm gonna tuck these all away in my back pocket for next time.
The only other thing I'd like to highlight quickly is that it was really interesting and cool to me how quickly everyone jumped to Ultra's defense. It kind of highlights how close the pod has gotten, where it's just like, no, you don't get to critique any one of us. Attack, verbally attack.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was very cool. And also, the last one actually is just Cassandra being willing to make that sacrifice of like, I could use my influence and promise stuff, I guess, if it's super important, because it kind of is.
Definitely would have lied.
Yeah. Which would have been super interesting, because, you know.
It would have been like, yeah, I totally am, like thinking about it, and I'll definitely go see my mom. Like, yeah.
Perry being like, oh yeah, let's just paint a target on ourselves immediately now.
I really threw my name out there,
It's-
like,
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not the first time Cassandra's done that.
look, something good needs to come out of it.
You go out there and tell everyone about us. We exist.
Don't do crimes. Dragon Riders should not take advantage of people. That's what she said.
It is what she
And if
said.
you do, you'll be in trouble.
I mean, it's kind of, you know, it's an interesting thing that, you know, a couple of episodes after she said that, she got her dragon to crush a tower.
Look,
Right.
I was making a point.
It's okay when I do it.
Yes, and also they were leaving anyway.
Sure. If anyone else would like to bring anything up, any like
I
point
just really like our clip that we have of Incenzia
saying,
admitting
you know,
yes.
Yes. I thought something came up with Incenzia and Methera melding and like having that. It's happened once before when we were hunting
Yeah.
and we were like Incenzia was gonna, you know, break a neck, but
We didn't fully connect
didn't.
that time.
Yeah.
So that's nice. That's cute
Mhm.
that we've got that going on.
Yeah.
And like Incendia's trying now.
What I'll say is, it is possible for all dragons and dragon riders to reach a deeper connection and a deeper meld as time goes on. It really depends on a connection between like desire to help each other and being on the same page, and just basically the connection you share. It can lead to, as you have now seen, evolution of what the dragon can do with their manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which makes sense because I think that's probably what we saw with Ardor and Ultra with the Spear of Fire.
mhm.
Mhm.
Yours.
So shall we do the outros? Let us. I would say, seeing as I was the meanest to them, let's start with Ultra, Tourmaline, and Katie.
Hello. I am all of those. I mean, they're not people because Tourmaline's a dragon, but I am all of those characters.
And so much more.
And also a human being. Katie. Okay, I'm moving on. You can follow me on Twitch, Katie Peters Plays. I play a lot of variety and horror. And then also you can find me on Twitter at PlayKatiePlay and all the other social platforms. What else do we talk about? I have 2 podcasts if you want to listen to me talk to you while you're shopping around Costco. One is called Katie Hasn't Seen That, and the other one's called Quantum Drive. And am I hot potatoing?
Yes, hot potatoes.
Okay. I'm hot potatoing to Ellie.
Oh, me. Hi. I am Ellie. I played Rithera and Ardor for you today. I'm a variety streamer. I do a lot of retro, a lot of indie, but we do a lot of very different things. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And yeah, I'm really proud of the episode today. It was really awesome. Aunga hot potato to damn.
Hello, I am Domestic Dan. I'm back. I'm no longer in Florida. And I only came back with a mild cold, but thankfully my wonderful partner partway through the episode brought me Sudafed, so nice. My Perry voice became less congested as the episode went on. So that was nice. I don't know why I didn't think of that beforehand. But yeah, I do lifestyle variety broadcasting, lots of cooking, lots of just gaming, whatever I feel like, lots of tabletop all over, a number of different channels, as was mentioned at the very beginning. And yeah, I also go to Costco, but not near as much as Katie. But I just get things that she can't get, and then she's upset with me about.
I thought you were going to say, and then you ship it to her. That would have been nice.
No, it's just he holds it over my head, just I got the fig bars.
Honestly, that's what I do. I get fig bars and I'll eat them on stream. Like these beautiful, delicious things.
They're
like
not at my Costco.
I know, and you need to complain to them so you can get them. I'm just saying.
I'll go up and be like, Dan told me that you have fig bars and then I enact change at my Costco.
Is that ordering them in specifically for me?
I mean, you're
for
like
me specifically.
You're in the neighboring state, so I don't know why they don't have them.
I know,
but maybe it's just because Costco's from my state, so that's probably
you get the good stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I do. And this is great. This is fun. Perry will be king of the mountain. It's just gonna happen.
I'm gonna become a dictator by the end of this.
I'm interested to see.
Listen, benevolent dictator, okay? Benevolent dictator. It's fine. But yeah. And I'm probably doing some horror games later today, because that's what I'm feeling like now that I'm back in full with more or less all my energy. So that's me, and we're gonna hot potato to Tash.
Hi, I'm Tashna. I'm mainly on Twitch, but on the other social media also. It's probably on me because my name is a pirate, because I'm a grown up. I play Final Fantasy 14. I played Alchemist Simulator this week because it's a cute little fun indie game I wanted to try out. Yeah, just lots of Final Fantasy 14, and I don't even know what I do anymore. I just live my life. And get bullied by Sheepy, like in the intro.
The hell did that come from?
The intro and the outro are synced. We're having, a loop, get bullied.
That was like 3 hours ago. Let it go, man.
Yeah, and I've not let it. No, I'm not over it. Like, I'm hurt inside. I'm not hurt inside. Don't care what he says. I'm gonna hot potato to Sheepy.
Well, that's why I didn't particularly feel very bad. Hello, I'm Sheepdog. This is The Wandering Inn. This was Dragon Riders. If you enjoy it, go check out the Patreon. Chuck down a pledge. The more pledge there is, the more people who want to support the show, the more shows I can do. If you want to see me do more, you do that, etc., etc. There's places where you can find things, Discord, Twitter, etc. We're gonna head off, and let's go into one of my favorite outros of all time, which was done by the lovely and talented Safi Pie. So thank you for watching, everyone, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.